Jean-Paul Marat,
born 1743, was a French scientist, political theorist and journalist who was a strong proponent of the French Revolution. Marat was born in Switzerland and traveled to Paris as a teenager to study medicine. He spent the early 1770s in England, where he published medical and political articles, but returned to Paris and established a clinic in 1776, from where he focused more intently on scientific study. Politically, he came to preach a position grounded in the liberty of the populace. His 1774 work Chains of Slavery called on the people of England to reject the despotism in their country which had increased as the ruling class, including the crown, the aristocracy, and the parliament, became more ignorant and disinterested about the issues facing common people. On the eve of the revolution, Marat began publishing his own newspaper,
L'Ami du Peuple
or The Friend of the People, where he sought to expose perceived enemies of the people. At first these were the monarchy, nobility, and the wealthy bourgeoisie, but Marat's enemies came to include the new government of France for its moderate approach to reform, such as its protection of feudal and business interests and failure to implement universal suffrage. He often called for violence to further the revolution, such as in the 1792 September Massacres of Paris prisoners. This criticism made him a target of the moderate factions of the National Assembly, including the Girondins, who prioritized societal order over drastic reform. The Girondins had Marat prosecuted before the Revolutionary Tribunal in April 1793 for his encouragement of violence, but he was acquitted and his popularity only grew. In mid-1793, however, Marat was very ill. The skin diseases which had plagued him throughout his life had become so debilitating that he had to take soothing baths almost constantly. On the 13th of July, a Girondin supporter called Charlotte Corday murdered Marat in his bath. His death at the height of his popularity saw him glorified by the revolution and, following the dechristianization of France by revolutionary authorities, Marat achieved apotheosis. Montagner Jacques-Louis David's painting The Death of Marat came to be seen as the pied d'armes of the revolution. However, following the end of the Reign of Terror, the downfall of Robespierre and the end of the revolution, Marat's memory was tarnished and his public celebration in the form of statues, memorials and names was destroyed. The Soviet Union would memorialize him in its early days. Marat remains controversial for his role in the September massacres, but his advocacy for the poor strengthened public support for the revolution.